I think that's quite a historically important item, or Martin guitar's artifact. Not that it's a guitar, but being a violin, made by the man who was responsible for the design of the Dreadnought, which is the most copied guitar model ever. Hey everyone, welcome back to another consignment update here at Gardiner Houlgate Auction Rooms in Corsham, Wiltshire, UK. We're working towards our March sale. It's actually deadline week this week, so this coming Friday, the 2nd of February, is the closing date for entries, and then we'll be frantically working away, getting the catalogue ready for you for the middle of the month. So we got some great things to show you today. We missed a week last week, so there'll be quite a big episode, having all the things that have come in quite rapidly over that time, and it's a really mixed bag of stuff. So let's have a look at what we've got coming up on the sale, which takes place on the 5th to the 8th of March. So we are starting with a bit of a bang. Not often we go straight in with the vintage, high-end vintage stock, but this is a 1964 Fender Stratocaster, and this guitar has a bit of a story, and we'll see some other guitars from this collection as well. So this was owned by Deirdre Cartwright, or is owned by Deirdre Cartwright, being sold on behalf of, and Deirdre Cartwright, an accomplished guitarist, a band called Painted Lady, which later became Girls School, and then also went on to form the band Tour de Force. But most notably, Deirdre was a presenter on BBC Rockschool, which is on BBC and PBS over in America. And Rockschool, for those of you who don't know, there'll be a lot of viewers who remember it well. Rockschool was it was basically a documentary about almost about the history of music, and also what it's all about being in a band, and sort of technical aspects of various instruments, and also sort of covered many genres. A lot of fond memories of the programme, but this guitar in particular did appear with Deirdre in 1983 in the first season. So you can see her with the guitar, and it really is a lovely thing actually. So Deirdre bought this in 1980 from Chandler's in Kew, no longer around now, Chandler's, but Chandler's in Kew in 1980. So she's had this guitar since then, so it's got a really cool history. Deirdre, a lovely lady as well. It was sort of a pleasure to speak to her and meet her, and there you can see. So a bit more about this guitar in particular. So refinished body. It was red at some point. There's sort of red in the cavities and behind the neck plate, and even the white gives off a little bit of a red hue itself. So some of the red coming through, but you can see it's nitro paint with the grey undercoat. And also the neck's been refinished as well, as you can see, and then replaced tuners, shallow tuners there. You can see the old Clusen holes that have been filled in, and string trees you can see are replacements. Got the original decal there, which is nice, so that's been saved despite the refinish. We've got a refret there, which for a guitar that Deirdre played quite a lot, that's sort of to be expected. And inside we have one replaced potentiometer. All the pickups are original. 64 date on the end of the neck. 64 pickups, but we have a 63 serial number, so late 63, early 64. I personally really like 64 Strats. It's my favourite year for the pre-CBS instruments. The reason being is the necks on them. I really like, because the necks are a little bit chunkier. It was the same with Gibson. Gibson necks got a little bit chunkier in 64 after thinning out in the early 60s. But yeah, that is a nice example. We've got the case as well, the trem arms there, and with some cool history as well. So What do we expect this to make? Somewhere in the region of 8 to 12,000. It's a cool thing with cool British history, and a lot of you will have remembered the show and have fond memories of it. Let's have a look what else we've got. It's not the same guitar, we promise. So this is also from Deirdre Cartwright's collection. So this was her favourite guitar from the 80s. This is the one she used to play a lot. And as you can see there, Schecter by Chandler guitars. So, again, this one was acquired through Chandler's of Kew. It was Deirdre's go-to shop. And the history behind these guitars is essentially Schecter would send all the parts to Chandler's, and then Chandler's would put them together. And hey presto, you have a Schecter guitar. Fit but finished by Chandler's, but these guitars are very, very, very good. Schecter really did know what they were doing with making parts, and Chandler's knew exactly what they were doing putting them together. So you can see we've got the Olympic white nitro finish, very similar look to her Strat, but lovely checking on this guitar. This is properly relicked. Have the debate about relicking quite often here, but you can see the big pole Schecter pickups, and we've got the Kahler trem there as well for, as Deirdre put it, all the Eddie Van Halen tricks with the locking nut as well. And on the back there we've got the serial number, which is CS, which stands for Chandler Schecter. So that is Deirdre Cartwright's. 1984 this one's from. That's when she ordered and had it made by Chandler's. So 1984, and one of her most used guitars throughout the 80s. So we're going back to a guitar with Rockschool provenance again. This is Deirdre Cartwright's 1986 Paul Reed Smith Custom 24. So this guitar was used in the second series, which aired in 1987. And the story behind this one, again, another guitar that came through Chandler's. Deirdre met Paul Reed Smith at a trade show around the time. And Chandler's were actually very, very... they helped Paul Reed Smith quite a lot, you know, getting his name in the UK, really. They were really the first distributors or sellers of Paul Reed Smith guitars in the country. They used to have them over at the trade shows, the big London trade show that happened every year. And Deirdre met Paul Reed Smith. She initially wanted a Blueburst one with bird inlays, but Chandler's had this one in at the time, so she sort of took this one on, waiting for a blue one to come in, which was on order. And when the guitar actually came in, she decided to keep this one because she preferred the sound of this one. She preferred how it played, preferred the sound. So this one has the sort of dot inlays, moon inlays. I prefer the moon inlays to the birds, which maybe that's controversial, I don't know. What's your preference? Tell us in the comments. And of course with this one you've got the rotary switch, but you've also got the sweet switch. The sweet switch is a very, very popular thing with guitars of this time. These guitars are very, very well made. Some of them were even made by Paul himself. This one in particular is marked as a 10 top within the bridge pickup cavity. Usually you'd find it on the back of the head in the corner here. I'm not sure whether perhaps that's something they didn't do as early, or maybe they forgot to take it, put it on there. But this is a 10 top, and you'll see it does have a really nice top on there, with sort of the cherry sunburst, I guess that is, finish. You know, standard trem system. But yeah, this is a very, very early and now very collectible Paul Reed Smith guitar with some great provenance, single owner from new, owned by Deirdre Cartwright, used on BBC Rockschool, and there'll be many of you who remember seeing this guitar. So yeah, I mean, I really like it. The other thing is it's a birth year guitar for me, showing my age, or perhaps how young I am. But yeah, this is it's a really cool thing, and yeah, a sad thing for Deirdre to see go, but yeah, hoping to find a new home, a new lease of life, but plenty of frets left on there, great condition considering its age and its use, and be interested to see what that goes for. So we finished having a look at Deirdre's guitars, and just before we look at this spectacular vintage Gibson instrument, I'll just mention there are a few amps from her as well. We've got 3 early 60s Vox AC30s, including a slant head super twin and 2 combos. So check out those in the catalogue as well. They're good, clean, and pretty much original examples. I think one has a transformer change, but the others are very good indeed. Nice clean condition, owned for years and years, decades by Deirdre, so good provenance as well. So what have we got here? So you'll see a late 50s Gibson case, and of course we have, I say of course, it's a 1959 Gibson ES-350T, and this is a really nice example. Fairly recently acquired by the vendor from a very good friend of his, and there you'll see the stinger, replacement tuners you can see there. They're double line Gibson Cluson tuners. We do have the originals, but it's a stunning looking thing. Not necessarily the most popular model, the ES-350, but they do still command high figures. You know, you are talking, you know, 5-figure sums, around the £10,000 mark for these. So when I say not the most popular, I guess I'm just comparing that to something else that might be from 1959. A burst, obviously, a 335. I guess a 335 from this year. You're talking 3 times that money these days, especially for one in, you know, top condition, especially the ones in natural finish, for example. But this is a good example, as I say. It's got the original PAF pickups, patent applied for pickups. All the hardware, aside from the tuners that we've covered, appears stock. We've got the gold-plated Bigsby, so that's a nice touch as well. You don't see many with a Bigsby either, and we believe this is a factory Bigsby as well. So it is a really nice thing with the original case. And then, as I said, inside the case we have, if I can prise the compartment open, there we go, we have the original tuners, so as they should be, gold plated, single line, and we say single line, we mean the Cluson down the middle there, Cluson tuners, and you can see the reason why they've been replaced. So this is something that happens on these old guitars. Mummified tuners, shrunken through, they do shrink, all the moisture comes out of them and they end up going brittle and basically unusable. So they're all in there, the original tuners, which is a nice touch, but obviously it's a guitar that needs to be used and played, so the choice was to replace them with a later set that fit the holes properly. So yeah, nice thing, really nice vintage, and that will also be coming up in March. And you can see another old case for another old Gibson. So this is again a really nice thing. So this is a 1939 Gibson L-5 Premiere. So this is a very much top of the line type L5 from 1939. It has the EA letter prefix serial number. So we'll cover the electrics in a minute because that's something that's not original. So with this guitar, you've got the urn inlay, the Gibson script logo, ebony board with the block inlays, but in this blonde finish, which you can see is original. Some lovely checking on the finish, and then really nice maple on the back. But if we go over and have a look at the electrics, so originally this guitar would have had no electrics whatsoever, and you can see we've got the Charlie Christian type pickup. Now, it is thought that this pickup and the electrics were fitted by Gibson in 1957. Now, the reason we think that is because it has two central ab pots dating to 1957. All the loom looks Gibson correct. Obviously we've got the Charlie Christian pickup, and also we have a pair of original 50s bonnet knobs as well. So the chances are that it was Gibson that did the work, like I said, in the mid-50s to electrify this instrument, this L-5 Premiere. You can see the L5 tailpiece we've got here, and then this you will see, this is a Gibson patent number Tune-o-matic bridge, so this is not original, and the base plate is also not original, but we do have an older base plate in the case. This would have originally been a wooden bridge, but the reason this is here, a choice by the vendor essentially to make it I guess a far more usable guitar, get it intonating well. And I will say this is a very good player, this guitar. It really is. And you know, I'm not usually one for arch tops, but you can see there the electric's wired through the end pin, which is nice, so the wood on the sides hasn't been butchered, and it has had a neck reset at some point. We can see there's some work that's been carried out around this point, so always look around this area and you can see whether any work has happened. And there are some binding repairs, but a really nice neck, lovely playing action, and that is a really good rare thing. So in here we have something a bit more modern from Gibson. This is a 2014, so 120th anniversary year, as the inlay says on the 12th fret there, as most of the models had from this year. So this is a Les Paul Futura in Inverness green. So you've got the Sidewinder P90 type pickup in the neck there, the humbucker here, and then we've got push-pull pots, or push-push pots, for all of those tonal qualities. Quite a heavy guitar actually. This is in good condition. It's obviously a model that didn't last long. Active circuitry as well. You can see you got the battery pack in the back there, and with the original case. So if you want something a bit different, I guess it's got the Les Paul Studio vibe going on, but with different pickup configuration. There is a Gibson Les Paul Futura. Having a look at something a little bit older again, once I get all the catches off the case. So you'll have to excuse the stringing, because I have very recently, like literally just had this apart to check it over, and it just needs the restringing for me. Yeah, I like to leave the restringing for my cameraman. So this is a 1974 Gibson Les Paul Custom in cherry sunburst finish. So we've got, it's right on the cusp of 74 actually, because we've got the patent number or stickered pickups, and they moved to the stamped pickups later in 74, so right on the cusp of 73, 74. And we've got the waffle back tuners there. They actually appear to be repros, but very similar to what would have been there. And of course you can see there the stinger, but we've got a neck repair there, so it's a bit of a shame that, but it puts it into that lesser bank damaging players grade category. But essentially everything else is as it should be. This Tune-o-matic bridge is a replacement. You can see that that is a newer one, but it is still an ABR bridge. But all the potentiometers inside check out to the right date, and a good example with the case. So just really the headstock brake on the back. Otherwise, we're in fairly good condition. And if you want a Les Paul custom from this era, and they do seem to be popular, that is a good choice that will come in slightly cheaper because of that issue. And with the protector case, we must have another Les Paul. And there we go. So here we have another Les Paul custom, and like buses, we have two headstock brakes. So there you can see that is actually an original set of waffle back tuners there. So you can kind of see the difference in the crispness of them. These older ones, they look a lot crisper. You can see the patina on them as well. But we do have a headstock repair there. Hasn't been repaired the best. I mean, I'd actually say that someone could have another go at that and tidy that up a bit. But this guitar is actually from around 1971, so slightly earlier. Again, we got the pancake body on this one. All the pickups have been replaced. So we've got a Seymour Duncan in the neck. We're actually unsure what these are. They're unbranded. We're going to have some assumption that they probably are Seymour Duncans. They certainly look very, very similar, or certainly Seymour Duncan spec. But yeah, a lot of changes with this guitar. Back of the neck has been refinished. Yeah, looks like it to me. Yeah, back of the neck's been refinished, but the body is okay. Body's got the original finish on there, and yeah, with the protector case. So again, another early 70s Les Paul custom, player's grade again, so hopefully won't break the bank, but it is what it is, as they say. I would like to add on that last Les Paul that we just saw that it does come with a protector case, but of course that's not original because the protector cases came later. Would have had a normal shaped case like the previous guitar. But anyway, less of that one. So here we have a 1991 Gibson ES-175 in black. So you don't see many of these in black at all. And we got a bit of stand burn on the back here, but light checking all over. I really like these arch tops in black. I think they look really cool. And the one thing you'll probably notice that looks a bit odd is we got two switches here. So this guitar has had a modification, and it's had a Fishman piezo pickup in the bridge, and there's an extra switch to control it. So we've got all the original electrics in place, but with the addition of the piezo there. So tonally, you've got a lot of options there, especially for an arch top like this. You can see you've got the original 90s era hard case, but otherwise it's in good, clean condition. I really like this guitar.
Yeah, me too.
I love RDs. I love Silverburst guitars. Maybe because I'm a big Tool fan. But this is a 2007 Gibson RD, and this was the guitar of the week for this year, week number 48. So in good, clean condition with the case. Just get rid of the dust there. And there is a bit of buckle wear there, but a nice clean example. Nothing wrong with it at all. Now 2007, I guess, is almost the beginning of when things started going a bit weird with Gibson, which a couple of guitars that are coming up very shortly, in fact just after this one, will illustrate really well. Yeah, they basically did a limited run guitar of the week, every week of the year, a new model coming out. But this is, although I guess you could call this a bit weird, it was a reissue of an old model, and I love the RDs. Not everyone does. The originals were very heavy. They had some of them had the Moog electronics, which isn't for everyone. But this is a cool guitar. It's giving off, to me, it's giving off Mastodon vibes. Yeah, would you say?
I've been wanting to say the whole
yeah.
ESP have just released the new Bill Kelleher model, and this, well, his last one was like the Sparrowhawk, which is that RD sort of thing, but his guitars are always that sort of colour.
It's a really nice thing. Dirty Fingers pickups as well. So really cool rock and roll guitar.
It's really comfy as well.
It is. ergonomic. So if you wanted some proof that Gibson completely lost the plot around this time,
I'll wait for you to take it out of the case, maybe.
Now I love a flying V, but some people will love these, and fair enough, each to their own. But this one from 2008, in this, I guess, natural Carina type. They didn't actually call it Carina, it was natural amber, I think they called this finish. But yeah, the reverse V, what were they thinking? They sold, they were made in limited numbers, I think, as they probably should have been made in limited numbers, but they did all sell. And I guess if you're the man who has everything in your Gibson collection, maybe that's the one you should buy. And they do still sell quite well. But, you know, I like a lot of guitars that people don't like too. So,
the ironic thing about this is we've both said it's a really comfy guitar to hold and play.
Yeah, it is a bit of a shame actually, because
it doesn't look like it should be.
Yeah.
But it is.
It's a really comfortable guitar to play. It balances really well. So actually, as an instrument itself, it's great. But yeah, I'm not slinging that round on stage, personally.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
But someone will, and there's a good prop, so it is a bit of fun. We'll give them that. It's a bit of fun. But yeah, I think this guitar really does sum up what happened in the late 2000s at Gibson. Don't want the natural finish, we have another one. I really like Alpine white guitars, but actually I think this is officially called Classic White in this model. I could be wrong, tell me in the comments if I am wrong. But this guitar is basically, I mean, it's a shame there is some tarnishing to it, but it is largely unplayed. It was bought and put away in the case. But this one from 2007, so first year. And again, I think I've said my piece on them, but we have two. Let's mix it up and we'll have a look at another Fender guitar. You see from the 70s case. There we go. So this is a 1973 Fender Stratocaster in natural finish. All the electrics, all original. It's just a good clean example. Some wear on the body as you'd expect, but the neck's in good shape, and I think these natural finished Fenders look great. Got the big headstock there.
Your favourite?
My favourite, indeed. I think the big headstocks look really cool. 3-bolt neck, one feature that not everyone likes, but there's nothing wrong with it at all. And obviously the staggered pole piece pickups, which were phased out in '74. So yeah, you'll see very slack strings there because I've recently had this apart again. Yeah, 1973 Fender Stratocaster in good original condition. So something a bit different, we don't feature them that often. This is a Kay from 1961. This is a Jazz 2 model, also referred to as the Kelvinator. But this is in good original condition. Some of the Grover tuners have been changed. There's some original types on there. And yeah, it's a nice example. It's got the Bigsby. And lesser seen, they're cool, something different, US made, and one to keep the bassists happy. This is an Epiphone Rivoli bass. It's in reasonable condition. There's a bit of a lacquer burn down there on the top. You can see where a thumb player with the wear by that pickup there, using as a thumb rest. There's a replacement switch there. And you can see there's a little wash around there there's obviously the jack's been caught at some point and caused a bit of damage to the wood. But otherwise, it's in decent condition. It's obviously been played. You can see there on the neck, but well played Epiphone, but I think in decent condition for its age. The important thing is there's no head breaks, which we see on the majority of these, with being such a, I guess, a big guitar with that neck angle, and if they go over, you've had it. And this is a very rare thing from 1937. This is a Recording King, and this is the Roy Smeck model. So obviously we've got the Gibson Association there, but I've never seen one in this good original condition before. Obviously you can see some marks which you should expect for a guitar of this age, but we've got the original electrics, original pickup there. You can see the checking over the body, a really nice V neck, but you really don't see these, and to be in this condition, as I said, is great. And there you can see Recording King Roy Smeck model A104. Fantastic vintage instrument, and it really is a good archtop guitar. They really knew how to make them back then. So we've had a good old run of Burns guitars in for this sale. So we're going to have a look at some of these Burns entries now. UK British guitar making, and if you want the world's heaviest bass guitar, if that is on your shopping list, I must have the heaviest bass for all that sustain. Then there you go, look no further. We have a Burns Scorpion from around 1980. This was made in 1980, so a later creation by Jim Burns, and it's a wild thing, isn't it? This is the Scorpion model, and you can see why it's called that. And I am struggling to hold this. I'm really having to...
Who needs the gym?
Yeah, really having to tense myself while the cameraman takes all the time in the world just to show you this guitar while I'm struggling. But there we go, 1980 Burns Scorpion. So if you want the world's heaviest bass, well, there's probably ones that are heavier, to be honest with you, but yeah, there it is. But perfect for your Burns collection. So this guitar was actually a custom-made guitar by Jim to settle a debt. So slightly earlier than the Scorpion, so made in the 70s, this one, but you can see it is a bit different, custom made. It's probably unique actually. I know he did use this body shape on other guitars, but yeah, this was made to settle a debt with the client. So you can see there the semi-rigid case. So from the case you can see we've got a Baldwin, of course Baldwin taking over Burns in the mid-60s, and this is a Virginian model, so it's kind of an electric acoustic hybrid, and that's a wacky looking thing, isn't it, with the classic Burns pickups, and we've even got the trem system in there as well. Replaced knobs on this one, they're not original. But I actually really like the necks on these, nice sort of slender V profile necks, and yeah, another UK made Baldwin guitar with the original case. So our next Burns guitar is a Baby Bison from around 1966. When I say Burns, I should say Baldwin really, so Burns Baldwin. Now this guitar was actually played by Joe Bonamassa, and we have a picture of him playing it, but it was only played the once. This guitar was in Fraylers in Manchester at the time, and Joe nearly bought this guitar. It was between this and another one, hence there's a picture of him trying it out in the shop. Nearly walked out with it, but went for the other one instead. I mean, I suppose it wasn't a matter of which one he could afford, but this is from '66. You don't see them that often, the Baby Bison, and there you can see it's in fairly good condition for the age. knocks and typical lacquer cracking which you find on these guitars of this era, and that's nicely housed in a modern flight or modern hard case. So this is probably one of the most sought after models within the Burns family. So this is a Bison. You can see it's all clad in the Baldwin with the Baldwin name. So this was made in around 65, so it was Burns, it was right during the transition, so Burns made but with the Baldwin hardware. So right on the cusp of being both, really. But it's, I think, just in typical condition for the age, to be honest. Got the lacquer cracking as well, which you just see on all of these with the black finish. We've got the Burns Resomatic pickups, the Resotube trem system, and of course on the headstock there you've got the old Bison logo. But these are sought after guitars now, and one of the most collectible of Burns models. You bought a Burns guitars yet? Well, this is the last we'll feature today. So this is a split sonic from around 62. Now this is a very, very, very early example, so for you Burns collectors, this is a must-have almost. Green burst finish, but you'll see there, if you have a look at the serial number, look how low that serial number is. This is actually the earliest known serial number for this model. There may be earlier ones. We might find that the sale of this prompts another one to be unearthed. But as it stands, this is the earliest known serial number. You've got the inset trem system here, which you see on these earlier ones. We've got the trisonic pickups, and of course we got the Wild Dog setting on this guitar, and the Wild Dog setting sounds great. You really have to hear it. But yeah, this is a split sonic, really early serial number from around 1962, and yeah, it's in pretty reasonable condition considering its age. So guitars that are very well made, Music Man, and we have an Albert Lee model, replace guard, but we've got the original there, and there we go. Here's what it is, nice and clean condition, striking white finish with the shell guard on there, but Albert Lee's signature model, a modern guitar, and look at that neck, the bird's eye maple on there. What I like about most Music Man guitars is you've got this satin neck, and they do feel really comfortable, really fast necks. And yeah, that's again, that old term, it is what it is, an Albert Lee signature Ernie Ball Music Man. So this is something that you will have not seen before, although we did offer one of this maker's guitars last year, I think. So Kay John Guitars, we offered a very intricately made guitar. Some of you will remember it, some of you won't, but this is actually his first ever guitar, and his whole concept was to use all British timbers basically. So we've got a sycamore top on here, wild cherry back, maple neck, look at the maple on there, really nice maple neck, and all hand built, handmade, hand carved, all the decoration done, you know, the transfer and over finished, so all the decoration done by the maker as well. But it's a really, really well made guitar. The last guitar we had of his was the one he made after, and that really was a stunning, phenomenal guitar. We've got a video of Jack actually playing that guitar as a demo, so go back and have a look at that, the Kay John guitar. This is his prototype. Radio shop, early PAF type pickups, and yeah, something a bit different, I think, from a boutique British maker, and he does make a really, really good guitar. So in here we have a 2015 Martin D45, so the highest model they did with the abalone inlay. Of course the Dreadnought, the guitar that Martin invented, which is now, I believe now, is the most copied guitar model ever. So this is from 2015, and it's just in great shape. Indian rose of back and sides. Of course, we got the Sitka spruce top, mahogany neck, and you can see the condition there. Really, really nice, clean condition. I think the only ding on it is just there, which the owner unfortunately did. I think apparently he dropped a capo on it, which of all things. But just a small ding there. And of course we've got the Martin liquid saddles as well. These are very well thought of. This is a really, really, really nice D45 from 2015. Martin's highest end acoustic, and these are really expensive to buy new. You're talking, I think, nearly 5 figures now, which is crazy. But maybe it's not. They are great guitars. But this should still bring around 5k in the auction. But there it is with the original case. And I think while we're looking at Martin guitars, we've actually got something that's quite special. It's not a guitar, but it has Martin guitar history. Now, many of you will know of John Deichman, of course, who is seen as the inventor of the Dreadnought, the most copied guitar ever, and responsible for most of Martin's designs around the period, sort of in the early 1900s, and of course was the foreman of the factory as well. But this is a violin that was made by the man himself in 1914. So this is a John Deichman made violin. So an important thing, really. This is violin number 2, so the second he made. And to be honest with you, it's pretty good for a second violin. Of course, here at Gardiner Houlgate we do specialise in sales of violins as well, in the musical instrument sales. My colleague and one of the directors here, Jamie South, our specialist. So do check out those sales as well. But you can see there the maple. But this was made by John Deichman. It was sold in an auction in Germany. John Pierce, who also John Pierce is a known name anyway through distribution, but he was also involved with Martin. He worked there for a while. He befriended John Deichman and ended up acquiring this violin. And then when John passed away, there was a family estate sale in Germany, and this was purchased by the vendor from the estate sale. The vendor was very friendly with John Pierce himself, hence why he attended that sale. But I think that's quite a historically important item, or Martin guitars artifact. Not that it's a guitar, but being a violin, made by the man who was responsible for the design of the Dreadnought, which is the most copied guitar model ever. So it'd be really, really exciting to see what this will bring. Let's stick with an acoustic guitar, and this is quite an incredible guitar actually. This is a Lowden. Be very careful taking this out because it is essentially unmarked, but a very, very nice guitar indeed. So this guitar is the F-50 model. I believe it's made in 2022, this one. So a very high-end model. Very, very expensive guitars. We're talking Martin D45 pricing, but a really, really top-end Lowden model. So this guitar, all master grade woods, or what they call master grade woods, and we've got the Sinker redwood top. We've got the African blackwood back and sides. We've got the ebony board with the maple binding, and of course we've got this this chamfered edge as well for comfort. But there we go, you can see this is in fantastic condition. Really high-end guitar. Got the Goto tuners there as well, gold-plated tuners, and it's in great condition. And I think you're almost buying an as-new guitar. And have a look at how expensive these are these days for these master grade high-end F50 models. They are a lot of money. Yeah, could be a very good buy for someone. Another very nice acoustic. This is one of my favourite acoustic manufacturers, Santa Cruz, and this again is in stunning condition. This is the OM pre-war model, so very much based on the sort of pre-war Martin thing, but this is really is a lovely guitar. Sitka spruce top, but this is actually this is an upgraded maple top, spruce top. So not the standard, so premium spruce top, ebony board. There's the old Santa Cruz logo on the head there, with the slot head as well, mahogany neck, and the really nice tightly grained Indian rosewood back and sides. And it comes in its original case, so another fantastic acoustic guitar. And again, even though this is, I believe this was made in 2012, it could almost be a brand new guitar. And last of the acoustics for today, this is a Collings. Again, another fantastic acoustic maker. This is the D2 model, or the D2H should I say, with the herringbone inlay. Again, a really fantastic acoustic guitar, with the spruce top. Again, very much well, we're another Dreadnought copy, the most copied guitar design. But yeah, Dreadnought copy guitar, all very much based on the Martin idea. Slot headstock, herringbone inlay on this one, which I do love the herringbone inlay. I certainly prefer it to the almost over-the-top abalone, but each to their own as always. But it is a fantastic sounding acoustic guitar with its original case. We've just popped down to a different room, got things all over the place as what usually happens towards the deadline. So in this flight case we have an early 70s Guild S100. So the SG shape, Guild's take on the SG shape, and again a good guitar in good clean condition, especially for the vintage. You can see we've got the coil switching. These Guild pickups are very well thought of actually, these humbucker type pickups, but you can see all the hardware's original. Some buckle wear on the back, but otherwise a nice clean example, and single owner since the mid 1980s. So in this Gibson protector case, again owned by the vendor since the 1980s. And these are now very collectible guitars. So this is a 1981 Gibson Heritage Series Standard 80 Elite, and it is in fantastic condition. It is exactly what it says on the head. And there you can see the serial number, 1st and 5th, giving you your 1981 date. But there we go, classic Gibson, mahogany body, with this one has the quilted maple top, so a bit different than your normal tiger flame or tiger mapling, and yeah, and in the tobacco burst finish. So good condition for the age, or in fact I should probably say exceptional condition for the age. Some tarnishing to the pickup covers, but yeah, this model has become quite sought after these days. Of course, you've got the ebony board on this in this one rather than the rosewood from the standard models, this being the 80 Elite. And there we go, a nice guitar from Gibson from 1981, and a good example, and to be honest with you, you probably won't find one much better. Some of you will remember in the last auction we had one of these, the Fender Squier series Stratocaster from Japan, made in 1982. They made hardly any of them, these first ones. In fact, I think the UK got about 12 of each type, or each reissue. So of course this is the 50s reissue. The one we had last time came in from the original owner, and the condition was incredible. It was almost unbelievable, the condition. But this one's in even better condition, and this one is also from the original owner. Purchased the guitar only a few months after it was made, so in 1982, and it's even still got the pickup made in USA sticker on the scratch plate. But look at that, it's in incredible condition. Of course, I don't need to go too much into the history of these instruments, but essentially it was Fender's way of if you can't beat them, join them, and get the Japanese to make the guitars for them. And there was a joint venture between the Japanese factory and Fender to make these guitars, and they are fantastic quality instruments, great reputation, and these are very, very collectible guitars these days, especially these early Squier series, Fender logo Squier series guitars, because there really are not that many of them. So if you missed out on the one in the last auction, there's this one, and this one is in better condition. It really is a time warp example. I'd be really, really surprised if there is one out there that is in better condition than this, but I've laid down the challenge: present to me one that is in better condition than this, and maybe we'll sell it for you. But yeah, 1982 Squier series Fender Stratocaster, made in Japan, single owner from new, and it comes with a nice 80s USA Fender case. So there we go, ladies and gents. As we said, it was going to be a bumper episode, having missed last week. We've still got lots to feature in future videos, so please do come back. We'll be recording our video demos next week as well, so expect to see those coming out in the next few weeks with some of the choice pieces, and we still have some great things to come, so do keep checking back. Remember to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and hit the bell icon so you always get notified with that future content. Of course, follow us on all our social channels. Instagram and Facebook are the main ones, but we are also on channels like Threads, we're on TikTok, we're on all of them, so please do look us up. Most of the tags are guitar auctions, so @guitar auctions for Instagram is probably the most important one. Of course, sign up to our mailing list so you get all the news, and you can be filled in with what is going on in the world of guitar auctions at Gardiner Houlgate. So the next sale is coming up on the 5th of March, 5th to 8th of March, and you can have a look at the previews on the website guitarauctions.com. So have a look there. We have got a good selection of what is coming up, what is on offer, but please do be aware there's probably not even 200 guitars on there, but we do have well over 500 guitars in the sale already, and counting, plus amps, pedals, guitar spares, studio, the lot. So please do have a look at the preview, but the full catalogue should be online by the middle of February, and when that is online you will go to auctions.gardinerhoulgate.co.uk to view the full catalogue, to register and to bid, and then we'll be viewing just at the start of March, so we'll be looking forward to seeing you then. So once again, thank you for joining us today. We'll see you again next week with some more goodies that are coming up in the March sale. See you next time.